Let's begin the conversation. And like I said, today we are talking about regulating real estate agents and developers in Lagos, and we're looking at it from the perspective of the Lagos State government. And of course, my guest who's joining me right now is Mrs. Toke Benson-Awoyinka, special advisor to the governor on housing. Madam, it's nice to have you join us. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. And let me say happy birthday to you once again.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel? You've been in the studio on your birthday, working.
Life has to continue.
It has to continue. All right, but after this time out, probably you
have some good lunch.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, I hope I'll come along.
No, the social distancing.
Social distancing.
Yes.
All right, so we will respect that for the government's perspective.
Yes.
But Mr. Awoyinka, we will come to issues around service hands in the value chain of housing. But first things first, how are things faring in the housing sector in Lagos?
Well, I guess everything is going on fine. The government is ready now to regulate the stakeholders, and we're hoping that there will be 100% compliance. We want the sector to be monitored. We want stability in the sector.
Right.
We want sanitization of the sector. So we're hoping that after our launch yesterday, we will get 100% compliance. Like I said, you wanted to come for my birthday today, but it's not possible, the times that we're in.
That's right.
So also the launching of the portal is very timely, because then we've reduced the influx of people into our offices by letting people go online to register, upload their documents. We've made it a very customer-friendly platform.
All right.
It has a question and answer section. It tells you the do's and don'ts. It gives you all the regulation. You can find everything in there. Okay. So I guess it's a good time for us in the Ministry of Housing.
And before we got here, before we arrived at this place that we are now, what did you meet on ground as it relates to these service hands, the real estate agents and practitioners?
Well, it was almost like a chaotic situation here in Lagos. There was no regulation. There was nobody monitoring the system. It was a free-for-all market, and a market that has a number of professionals, lawyers, accountants, estate surveyors. It should be a sector that should be greatly monitored. So when I got here last year, the governor saddled me with the mandate to work with this law. We brought up the law, we looked at it. It was operating as a department under the Ministry of Housing. It was called the Lagos State Real Estate Transactions Department, last retrad. The ability of the department to function wasn't too great, but fortunately, by February 2020, after all the sanitization, the stakeholders, the meetings, we met with various MDAs within the ministry. There's ministries and departments. We met with stakeholders in the industry. We met with developers in February as well. The governor was only too ready to transit the department into an agency. So right now the agency is called the Real Estate Regulatory Authority. And it's saddled with a number of activities, a number of provisions there to help the people of Lagos, to help sanitize the industry, to help regulate real estate in Lagos State. And you know, it also brings in transparency in the system. It conforms with 21st century compliance. It meets the mandate of the government on improving the IT infrastructure. So as a school sat holder, if you want to go into real estate, we have provisions for you. We have the brokerage arm of it, where you go into tutelage with some professional institutions. They train you, and then you can kickstart. We don't want a situation where everybody who doesn't have anything to do, every megad,
an all-commerce affair, sort of.
Yes, picks up his briefcase and puts it to let's sign out there. We don't want that kind of situation.
And how do they feel, the practitioners now? I mean, coming in with this kind of structured way of making things work out for Lagosians, how do the practitioners feel?
Well, I would assume that they would accept it with open arms. With human beings, change is usually very difficult. But when they see that what we're actually trying to do is actually bring up the profession, it's something that is a very laudable profession for people who have the interest.
Right.
So if we leave it in the hands of just everybody, the chaos is not going to help us. The chaos, it will enhance their business.
Okay.
Once there's regulations, it would assist them.
Let's look at capacity in this sector. Do we really have enough hands? I mean, do we have enough practitioners in this industry?
Oh my
Talk about
goodness.
real estate.
Oh my goodness. Every other person in Lagos State is a real estate player.
Somehow.
I tell people real estate to Lagos is like oil to Nigeria. So everybody who has nothing else to do is a realtor in Lagos. Yes. So if tell me to give you a number,
Yeah, put some figures to it.
I would give you 50,000 people, at least 50,000 people.
Our practitioners?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's very huge.
Because there is really no entry point.
Okay. And since you started this campaign for them to be properly monitored and properly regulated, in terms of registration, how many people have come to register, for instance?
Well, in the past, we've had people in our database who have registered and who still renew their permits. So with this new regulation, we need to separate the wheat from the shaft. We don't want it to be an all-comers affair, because if we're regulating, we have to have minimum irreducible standards in the system. So we're hoping that right now we would engage, we would... We don't want to create a jobless market, a state of joblessness in Lagos.
Okay.
We don't want to add to the unemployment in Lagos. So we're not going to ask everybody who is into real estate to go away. We're going to give them the opportunity to train themselves, at least minimally. And that's why in our law, it says you must have at least, you must be at least a school cert holder for you to even venture into the trade. And you would work under somebody. You don't just come in and you go around and you put the to let sign there and 10,000 people market one property.
Right.
At the end of the day, you don't know who the actual owner of the property is, but there's so many people on that same property. So we need to curb such things and reduce the fraud in the
Yeah, but
industry.
madam, it's my property. Can't I just put anything there to say, well, it's for sale?
Well, it's your property, and then every other bread seller in Lagos too would publicize it, advertise it for you, and then, if possible, take the money for your property without you getting anything. That's the reason why we need to. Even landlords, we tell landlords, if you want to do the business of agency, because it's a different thing when you're a developer and you're developing, and it's a different thing when you're a landlord. But the minute you want to cross over to get into the business arm of it, of renting it out yourself, you need to register.
Okay.
We need to know who you are. We need to know what you're doing. We need to protect our citizens.
Right.
Oftentimes, our citizens get defrauded without any recourse to anything.
So let's put it in proper perspective now. What do I need from the perspective of Las Vera now? What do I need to become a realtor in the state, for instance?
Okay. Well, we have several conditions here. You have to be a Nigerian by birth or naturalization.
Okay.
You have to be at least 18 years of age. You have to possess a minimum educational qualification of WAEC, GCA or NECO. You must have a school living certificate. And we advise that you be a member of a professional body at some level. If you're not a member of a professional body, that's when we say, okay, you're a broker. At which point we advise that you train before you come in. And as a broker, you would actually need a guarantor in the system or in the industry.
Right.
So that if anything goes wrong, we know who to call on to.
Right.
You have to show evidence of a business registration or a business name. So be it a CAC document. You have to have an actual office where you operate out of. Like I said, we don't want briefcase
Carrying
agents or developers anymore. So that, amongst others, are the things that we require that you possess to register.
All right.
Yes.
So can I take it as a second profession?
Oh, sure. Most definitely.
So after I finish my work here, now I can go into real estate business.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can, as long as you meet our minimum requirements.
All
Yes.
right, but I hope these requirements are not going to be stringent. For those who come in, they are very active in this. What's the process like for you to register realtors and make them part of this regulatory process? Really
interestingly, if you go online to our website, it's lasrera.com, LASRERA.com. It gives you everything you need. It's very it's wide in information.
All right. And it's very accessible.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely.
Which is good. Now, was it 2 days ago now you launched this website? Is that correct?
Yesterday.
Oh, great. So let's talk about it. What was it like? I mean, what's it like? What does the website possess? What are the things that people can gain from this website? And what will be the significance of this to the practitioners?
You know, it's been long coming. In October last year, we had a stakeholders engagement at the Yoku Hotels and Suites, where we invited stakeholders in the industry. And when I mean stakeholders, everybody. We had adverts out. If you're a realtor, if you're a developer, an estate agent, if you're an estate surveyor, if you're a legal professional who is in real estate business, we had everybody come in there. It was a roundtable discussion. At the end of the day, the governor actually introduced to them that he was coming up with a website, an interactive website, a website where we would store data of realtors in Lagos, a website where every citizen of Lagos can click on that button and find a developer or an estate agent. So we started off that process in October last year, and I'm glad to say that within 1 year of Mr. Sanwo-Olu's administration, he made good his promise to the people of Lagos to have a database of real estate practitioners, to regulate the system, to sanitize the system, to monitor the people who are into real estate in Lagos, because to have a roof over your head is the last solution to your problems. Right. A lot of people are out there sleeping under the bridges. We have net migration into Lagos. People coming into Lagos every day. People say over 150 to 200 people come into Lagos every day. They want to put their heads somewhere. And we've seen that some charlatans in the industry, or people who are in the industry to defraud people, have taken advantage of our citizens, and we're trying to stop that right now. So when you get on our website, it's interactive. It gives you all the information you need.
Okay, which is very, very good. Now, before you came in now, or perhaps as you assumed the office of the special advisor to the governor on housing, what are some of the sharp practices that you must have heard that are being perpetrated by most of these agents and developers that the state is now, trying to curb?
Can you say that again, please?
What are some of those sharp practices that you've heard?
My goodness. Oh, my goodness. A lady walked into my office 2 days ago. She brought in a number of papers, bank statements, offer letters, award letters. The cousin lives in the United States, and she had paid 30 million into this particular property company.
Wow.
Who had promised or had advertised properties that she would be getting. So she paid the sum of 30 million all the way from the US. And that's the reason why I said, with our platform, if you go on that platform, when the database starts to build, you can actually see who you can deal with and who you cannot deal with. So if one person is due 30 million, and we have 20-something million people in Lagos, and we have others in diaspora too, it's an open market for fraud. Which is the reason why we're saying that if you are not a licensed practitioner in Lagos, we urge Lagosians not to deal with you. We had a situation last year of 264 people who were duped in K2. It was a property that had 15 units, and it was sold to 264 people.
264?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And when these things happen, our recourse is to government. Our cry out is, government, we need your help.
Right.
So we have taken up that matter. Right now we're in court, We also have a case in Adetoke Estate where a number of people were duped, about 200 people as well. And fortunately, that matter has been dispensed with in the law courts. We have judgment, and the property has been forfeited to the Lagos State government. We're going to sell such a property, and we're going to disburse the monies back to the people who were defrauded. So we have a number of cases. We had, last time I was on your program, somebody called in from Agege. Over 300 people were also duped in Agege.
That's right.
In Apapa, we have 90 people duped on a particular structure. So it goes on, and a lot of Lagosians do not know that they have recourse to the law. So people don't know where to go to, and I'm using this opportunity to tell them that the Real Estate Regulatory Authority at Building 21 in Alausa is where you can lodge your complaints. You can also go to our website, www.laseria.com, where you have a complaint section where you can just put in the details of what's going on. We urge Lagosians to also be whistleblowers. We need you to tell us what's going on, because we need to sanitize that industry. And we need to stop the fraud in the system.
And I love the way you're speaking about this passionately this morning. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This morning, we're talking about regulatory authority, and we're regulating the real estate sector this morning. And taking us to the classroom is the special advisor to the governor on housing. That's Mrs. Toke Benson-Awoyinka. We're going to hear from you very, very shortly. You can talk to us, perhaps bring your concerns to her too, or if there are areas of inquiries that you need to sort out from my guests, you can feel free to join the conversation very, very shortly. But let me let you know, Third Milan Bridge is still very, very good to go. And of course, Ikorodu Road, also appreciably good. But on the return journey, just by Maryland there, inwards Ojota, there is an articulated vehicle that has broken down, but it's not really impeding the flow of traffic. It's not affecting the flow of traffic, really. Lagos Abeokuta Expressway is still looking good, too. So you can see how very good movement. Okay, then. So let's extend the conversation more beyond the studio to have your input as well. Perhaps you have one or two areas of concern for the special advisor in the studio. Feel free to join us on 0809 912 0777. All right? I have my first caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Dada. I'm calling from Alakuko.
Okay, Dada from Alakuko.
So I'm still within Lagos State.
You want to confirm that for me?
Good morning, Esema.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I just want a clarification on an issue, although it is not personal to me. A situation where a landlord asks a tenant after the expiration of his rent, maybe for instance his rent is expired maybe in May, and the landlord says the tenant is unable to pay his rent, and the landlord is asking him to quit the premises. How many months, if it's a yearly tenant or a 6-monthly tenant, how many months is the tenant, how much should the tenant be given to stay beyond this, the expiration of his tenancy? That's just the area of clarification I want from the SA, if it is within her purview.
Okay, that's just...
Well, yes, I can advise you on that. If it's a yearly tenancy, the landlord is supposed to give you a 6 months notice to quit. I do not expect that you would stay beyond that time. If it's a 6 months tenancy, it gives you 3 months notice to quit, 3 months before the expiration of your tenancy. That's what it is.
All right. Dada, I thought we were going to ask about those people that serve as middlemen, they want to sell properties to you. I was expecting that you're going to ask questions on that. But let's hear from you out there, 0809 912 0777. Good morning.
This is Adetoke from Ikeja.
Adetoke from Ikeja. Go ahead.
I am a witness to what Madam has just said. Good morning, Madam.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Biodu.
Okay, share your experience with us, Biodu. Hello, are you there?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm a witness to that this family over 100 people at Adetoke.
Wow.
I've
your line is not very clear.
I think he's saying he's one of the victims to the property.
Okay, were you a victim?
Yeah, I'm a victim. I'm the victim.
Wow, wow.
And I thank Lagos State government. They tried a lot. They secured the building. If this is what they are doing to end that groups through house rent, whatever I do, if this is what I say, I know such things will not occur again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So definitely, the government has secured the.
All right, quite unfortunate, but I think you made your point.
Yes, I think he's one of the victims of the property in Ajao Estate. Yes.
Which you
and
talk
he's
about.
just appreciating the government.
Yeah,
yes.
which is very good. Thank you so much for that. Let's hear from you. Hello there. Good morning. Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Hello?
Hello.
Ayo from Mogba.
Ayo, I think I deserve to give you a yellow card.
Ayo from Mogba. Can you hear me?
I can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
I was about to give you a yellow card. All right, but go ahead, Ayo.
Yeah, my contribution this morning is this. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, Mr. Ayo.
In the area of the agency fee, all these agency fees, I think they do something about it. And again, I said you want to take the right from the landlord to rent this thing out. For me, I think it's okay. Because the major problem is these agents that you are still giving more power. Now, let me give you an instance. In the area that I know you know very well, Okera, which is your constituency, I wanted to rent a shop. The landlord said is 120,000 per year, which is 10,000 naira every month. But the agency fee is 100,000 naira. They said 40,000, the agreement and commission 40,000, the damages is 20,000, which is 100,000 naira. Please, the major problem is this agent that we need to do something about it, and that is the area that is going to touch the masses.
Yes.
That is the area, and it's going to improve all this housing in Lagos State. It's a very vital area. Number two is this. Now, there is a policy that I know that is good, that maybe if I want to rent a house or I want to collect a house fee from my tenant, it should not be more than 6,000 6 months.
Okay.
6 months that you have to make payments, 6 months or maybe one month or something like that. It's a very good initiative. I like it. A month, 6 months is very good. But also you have to balance it. Now, if I'm paying a month, every month, I'm paying my landlord every month, and my landlord wants to quit me. He's giving me maybe a month quit notice or 3 months quit notice. After that, I did not quit. We are expecting that landlord again to go to court. And in that court, you will spend another 1 year, 2 years in spending money.
Okay. So what's your question?
If you want to balance it and you want it to be very
protection
effective,
for the landlords as well.
you want it to be very effective, there should be a law.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Biodun. Yes.
Hello?
We can hear you.
And you want to balance it. Now, if you are paying a month, give that tenant the right, maybe maximum of 2 months, and you will put. If you don't put, the government should take that responsibility instead of going to court. That court process is very cumbersome, and you are not even helping the landlord.
All right, Ayo, thank you so much. You've made your point. I just wanted to respond to that quickly, madam.
Yes.
Should that be regulated? I mean,
oh yes, it's in the tenancy law, and he's talking about the protection of the rights of the landlord to his property as well. So it's a bit. I think there's an imbalance in that law which we're going to be looking at. Okay. It protects the tenants more than it does the landlords, and I know that's what he's talking about. We're looking at that. On the issue of the agency fees, I'm glad to tell the people of Lagos that your agency fee should not be more than 10% of your rent
at any time.
At any time, 10%. Where in those huge transactions you can have maybe 2 or 3 three people on the transaction, it cannot be more than 15% of the total sum of the rent. And it's negotiable between the agent and the landlord.
So for him now, that he's charged 120,000. So the agency fee should not be more than
10%, which is 12,000
or 15, maybe 18,000.
Yes, yes. So we know of such practices. Those are the things that we're actually trying to correct. He's talking about 40,000 agency and 40,000 legal.
Yeah.
We found that even for the legal agreements, it's a cut and paste thing that the agents are doing. We're no longer going to tolerate that. For every agent, for every tenancy agreement, every sale agreement, we demand to see and make sure that it is done by the appropriate professional, which are lawyers. We are obviously going to be enforcing on the various professional stamps on your agreement.
Right.
We really want to go that deep in the sanitization of the industry.
Let's get some more reactions from you. 0809-912-0777. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Am I permitted to call back? My name is Ada. There's a point I want to make.
Dada, okay. All right, go ahead.
Excuse me, ma.
Yes,
You said
sir.
something about 10% of the tenancy fee.
The tenancy fee is 10%.
I mean the
Agency fee.
Agency fee,
Okay, now.
10%. Yeah.
Okay, now, for instance, you are getting a 2-bedroom flat for 700,000 naira.
Yes.
It's not supposed to be more than 20,000 naira.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
But in most cases, ma,
Yes.
it's usually beyond that amount.
We know. And
Excuse me.
yes, continue.
And if you insist on your right, there are some other tenants who are ready to pay that money which the agent is demanding for, thereby putting you at a disadvantage. If you want to wait to stand up by the law, you might not get a place to live in.
So Dada, your question now is, what do you do, right?
Yeah, what do you do? Because oftentimes, the agent is always at the advantage. You say, okay, it's 40,000 for commission, 40,000 for agreement. And if you insist that that's not what the Lagos State government is saying, you will not get an apartment. Thank you, ma.
All right.
Thank you. So let me tell you the good news. Like I said, we want to sanitize that industry. So for every agent in the business of rentals or sales in Lagos State, we expect that they would come into our offices or go on our website to register. Once they register, they have a registration number. If you find any agent of ours or any developer going outside the provisions of the law, we have a whistleblowing team.
Okay.
Once you report that to us, we move in straight ahead. We are going to make sure that the people of Lagos are not defrauded. We're going to make sure that people stand by the law. So if you are in a situation like that, Mr. Dada, and you whistleblow to us, we will suspend the license of that person. We will suspend his permit to work in Lagos.
So the website displays every licensed agent.
Yes, it's going to have every licensed agent by the government.
Wonderful. 0809-912-0777. Let's hear from you. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor.
Good morning.
Comrade Daniel is my name.
All right. Nice to hear from Comrade Daniel.
Thank you very much, Victor. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, Sam.
Yeah. I'm excited to see that you want to regulate the practice of estate agents in Lagos.
All right.
I think it has become a great concern
Yes.
between tenants and landlords and so on, and the agents. I'm also concerned about your mediation center. We find that they are always being dominated, overwhelmed by reports of agents the tenants and landlords, and of course agents. By regulating them, as well, most of them who take these cases to the mediation center.
Yes.
They are not registered agents. So it could be neighbors. Could be somebody who just are jobless, who doesn't have a rent. Okay, a landlord is not in the country, please take care of my house. Then you become an agent overnight. You will now begin to harass the tenants, take them to the mediation center. Mediation center people ask questions. That's what I discover. Are you an agent? Are you a registered agent? And do you have an attorney? They don't. They just quickly give a letter to take to the tenant and begin to process, it's quick notice. The mediation center should also be educated that please, for any agent that comes here, ask for his criteria, ask for his papers. Is he a real agent or is he registered and so on? So that will reduce the kind of number of people that go to the mediation center and ensure the right people does the work. That's my Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Daniel. All right, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we'll still hear from you before we wrap up things on the program this morning. All right, then. So we are proceeding on your side mirror this morning, and it's all about you and us. And we're talking regulations, and the special advisor to the governor on housing is bringing us to the classroom on how best the practice should be. We have 1 or 2 reactions from the social media platform, and I'm going to allow you, Shadi, to run you through that. Shadi?
All right, quickly. This says, coming from Lanre Oguridi, dear madam, please, what is your office doing to outrageous cost of the land in Lagos, for instance? In Alakoko, some lands are being sold for 17 million. Is there a way of, price control? Okay. All right, let's see. We have some on WhatsApp. Okay, I think that's
okay.
Much.
So, price of lands. I'll just allow you to respond to that, madam.
Well, unfortunately, like I said, in Lagos, land, real estate is like oil to Nigeria. We cannot have price control as a government. We cannot control the price that people want to sell their real estate. We would not expect them to be outrageous, but we really cannot do price control
for now. Anything about land grabbers in terms of intervention from the government?
Well, I think we have a land grabbers committee in Lagos State, okay. And disputes concerning that too. We have our mediation centers. But from what the last caller has said, like I said, once we now start to demand that agents or realtors are licensed with us in Lagos, it will reduce the fraud. It will reduce the powers of those agents that they've talked about, because it's not going to be easy for every landlord who is going abroad to say, tenant A or brother A, manage this property for me. Before you can manage that property, before you can do that sale, you would have to go into our offices or go online. Right. And I would like to use this opportunity to give the telephone numbers.
Right.
That you can call in case of complaints.
That's right.
It's 0901 999 9977. I'm going to repeat it again.
Okay.
0901 999 9977.
Okay.
And we also have 0901 999 9997.
Okay.
So you can give us a call. You can go to our Facebook page, leave us a message. Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, LASRIRA. We're on Instagram at LASRIRA1. We're on Twitter at LASRIRA. So please get in touch with us with your complaints.
Right.
You can whistleblow. We want you to tell us what's going on in the industry.
Good.
We're here to help the people of Lagos, and we promise that the government of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu is going to stamp out that fraud in the real estate industry in Lagos.
And I love that assurance from you. So even as we depart the program, what's your parting thoughts to our listeners this morning?
Well, I'm going to want to thank the people in the studio. It's my birthday. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Right. To the people of Lagos, it's a new lease of life in real estate. And LASRIRA is here. Your customer-friendly website is there. We're there. We're going to make sure that in Lagos, we put an end to real estate fraud.
Wonderful. Lagos Traffic Radio, that is 6.1 FM. I must say a very big thank you to you, madam, for making it through to the studio. And once again, happy birthday to you. All right?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So this is how far we will go. And thank you so much for bringing your concerns through on the program. Like I said, the second hour of the program will be reflecting solely on Democracy Day. But let me say a very big thank you to Adetoke, who's Assistant Director of Public Affairs for the Ministry of Housing, especially Office of the Special Advisor. Thank you so much for putting all of this together. Titi Layo Omoridion also adding to the mix this morning. Tokpe Agumbiade, and of course Shani Makonjola, not forgetting Koya or Shokoya. All of them working behind the scene just to ensure that the special advisor gets it appropriate. And she was very much here on time this morning. We really want to appreciate the entire team for making it through to the studio. Okay then, so we have to go now. But like I said, still very much around. The second half of the program, we'll be focusing solely on Democracy Day. So you can join us by 10:15 as we continue that conversation. I'm out. Still very much within.